Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some I Don't Work Here Lady. Before we start today's Would You Rather question, would you rather have to hunt and gather all your food or eat at McDonald's for every meal? Let me know in the comment section down below. Our first story today comes to us from Damien St. James. Another West Side story. Let's jump right in. Hello again, friends. This happened just earlier this afternoon, and it brought a smile to my face for two reasons. One, doing the right thing arguably, and two, I got to pet a pooch. So here's the story. Context. If you haven't read my posts on I Don't Work Here Lady, know that I alternate between using my manual wheelchair and the mobility aids provided by stores. I wear safety vests of different designs at the suggestion of people here to avoid being mistaken for an employee. It's not effective. This is what gets me in so many I Don't Work Here Lady stories. 117th Fred Mayer, Vancouver, Washington. Husband had just got paid earlier today, so I was excited to be able to get some stuff we honestly needed. It wasn't much, so I had planned to be in and out rather fast. I had plans for today to get some gaming done with my online friends. Though as recognizable a person as I am, and how friendly I am with the staff there, this tends to add 10 to 15 minutes onto my trip since I got to say hello to my friends there. This is how I encountered today's special character. I was somewhere in the middle of the checkout lanes chatting it up with one of the bag attendants that I recently befriended. She was talking about her upcoming prom, and I was doing my best to assure her that not only would she look effing amazing, if she needed someone to act as an emergency lifeline if the night goes boobs up, then she could call me. My eyes are drawn to my right and I spot the most beautiful German American Shepherd dog I'd seen in years, leading a quite visibly impaired elderly man towards me. In a very soft but concise voice, he asked, "Excuse me, is this the deli?" Now, I don't work there, so I let the bag attendant speak first. She admittedly without thinking said, "Oh yeah, it's over there," and started to point when she realized what she had done. Her face went from, "Oh, I'm super happy to help," to "somebody shoot me" levels of embarrassment. So I elected to jump in to save my friend embarrassment and just be who I am. "Oh, I can take you there if you like. Can you see my vest?" I asked. "Oh yes, that's what led me to you, but I can't really see anything else." "Okay, if you like, you can put your hand on my shoulder, and I'll drive you over there. Would that work for you?" The kind gent laughed and said that wouldn't be necessary, and indicated his seeing eye dog was trained to follow. He issued the dog his commands, and the dog went right to work identifying that I was who to follow. Still, I rolled the in-store aid. I remembered to indicate which aid I was in this time, at like 50% speed at best. They're already barely half the speed of smell as it is, but I wanted to make sure if I had to stop suddenly, neither he or his pooch would run into anything. The man chatted me up the entire time, and he was so grateful to have the help. I thanked him and assured him it was my privilege and honor to do what isn't just right, but basic decency. He laughed sagely and said, "If only more were like you. These days, people are just too bothered to help out someone disabled or blind, and I'm both. So in a way, it can be doubly insulting. True, I'd say this is a Greek tragedy, though I think Greece might sue for gimmick infringement." Oh, he laughed. So I got him to the deli, and he made his purchases. I asked if he had any other shopping to do, and he said he did. But if I had other duties to perform, I could go and he could get somebody else to do it. I literally didn't think, I just responded, "Sir, you are my duty." I'm not great at reading social or emotional cues, but I think he did actually restrain a tear. He patted me on the shoulder and left his hand there to steady himself. "Well then, to the front line, soldier," he instructed. I did what I've often done in this situation. I drive all around the store and guide them to whatever they needed. Fortune smiled on us both that I had like 3 things in the basket of the cart, so we could use the aid to carry his purchases. He told me a little bit about himself, but he was more curious about my story. I just stuck to the simple things that I was a writer, a former pro wrestler, and currently a gamer. He asked me about my issues walking. I told him that it was a combination of old injuries and degenerative conditions. He said he knew all about those. In the end, I escorted him to his car, helped him load up his groceries, and his wife, who'd been waiting in the car, thanked me. Neither knew I didn't work there, but I saw no reason to spoil that illusion. If people see me doing what I do and think it's the actual employees doing it, then hot damn, that's good for the store. Oh, and as a little reward, the man offered to let me pet his shepherd, after I'd mentioned I love dogs. I think everybody was happy today. While reading through the comments on this one, I came across a comment from OP that says, "In general, I subscribe to my grandfather's philosophy. Let not an opportunity to give positive vibes and compliments to your fellow man. For merely a kind word, a smile, or help you give freely may be all that it takes to bring that man down from the perilous ledge they have made within their own head." A little bit of kindness can definitely go a long way, but I've noticed when going out these days that everybody's pretty self-absorbed in what they're doing and not caring about anybody else at all. I think we should all do one random act of kindness to a stranger every day that we're out and about, because one little act like that can make somebody's day so much better. And in the end, you're gonna feel better yourself. Do me a quick favor and take a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're actually not subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. This next story comes to us from Show Rainey. I don't work at the grocery store, y'all. Let's jump right in. These happened 3 separate times at the grocery store near my house. All are at least a year ago, but I only realized recently that these are situations where people thought I worked there. For context, we really like the self-checkout setup at this store because husband can stand at the scanning station ringing up the items, and then a conveyor belt sends them down to me where I can bag them and put them in the cart after. It's super efficient with the 2 of us, so we really like doing this. Most other people we see are there alone, so they scan all their purchases first and then walk down and bag everything up after. We're usually the only duo making quick work of it, but truthfully, it's because we're both introverts, so we're moving fast to buy our crap and get the F out of there. Cue the confusion from other people. First incident, short and anticlimactic. An excited lady came up to me smiling and said, "Wow, how do I get one of those?" indicating to me begging where everyone else has no one begging for them. I think she's being conversational, and I'm newly married enough that I'm still used to the weird things people say about marriage that make no actual sense to me. So I smile back, gesture to myself, and say something to the effect of, "Marry a good one." Her smile fades as she looks back and forth to husband and me, realizes we're married and I'm not the grocery bagging lady, and then she glances around awkwardly while wandering off. I think the interaction is weird, but move on and don't think about it until the next 2. Second incident. We're creatures of routine, so you bet we're doing the exact same setup of husband scanning and me bagging. Right next to us are the smaller self-scan stations, so the bagging area is right next to the scanner, and it's ideal for people there alone with 15 items or less. Unfortunately, this is the height of lockdown in the US, and lots of places are getting short-staffed. So the scanner can sometimes mess up, and there's no staff member standing right there to help you. Cue this non-interaction. It's much better now, but I've always had social anxiety, so big places with lots of people make me retreat even further into my head. Loud people only make that worse. A woman at the smaller station is speaking loudly and aggressively, but I'm not listening because I'm busy. I hate being in public, so I'm probably at my limit on interacting with others at this point, and also, I just think some people are loud sometimes, and I don't need to care, so I don't. Our scanner needs some employee input too, so we're unfortunately just standing around waiting for someone to come clear the error, just like the loud woman likely is. I also have a problem with overwork. I know I'm trying to cut back, I promise. So I take the opportunity to get on my phone and check work emails and probably fire off a response or 2 on whatever the heck project I have at the time. I'm still not listening to Loud Lady, but she's close enough that it's sort of obnoxious as she keeps speaking, but I'm absorbed enough in work crap that I tune her out as best I can. Work emails sorted, I distinctly remember avoiding looking her direction, because she's loud and I'm really reaching my F I hate being in public limit. But eventually looking behind me, as I finally register, she's aggressively trying to get someone's attention. Since I can tell it's directed a certain direction, totally missing it's at me, I remember looking back behind me and only seeing the bathrooms and summer random patrons milling around. Weird, I think. Who the heck is she talking to? There's no one over there. Oh well, not my problem. People are all sorts of strange. And I go back to aggressively minding my own business, a skill I am incredibly proud of for the record. Right around this point, thankfully an employee appears, codes whatever thing our scanner needed, and then walks over to aggressive lady next to help her. At this point, as I'm giving a sigh of relief that someone can help her and get her the F away from me, that I finally turn towards her as we're grabbing our things to leave, that I see her point at me, and I assume in hindsight, ask the employee if I work there. Employee looks confused. I only half heard what she said because I was still aggressively minding my business. But I stop and pay more attention, seeing her finger pointing at me, and now am giving them both my full attention. Employee says no or shakes her head as I vaguely remember. But what I remember super clearly is loud lady now just stares at me with her mouth open. Legit, just this face I see people throw all over the internet. Husband finished throwing the last few things in the cart and starts heading towards the exit. So I just smile at this random lady staring at me, no idea what the heck just happened, but leave. Only in hindsight did I realize she was probably trying to get my attention all that time. But y'all, I am talented at tuning things out. I'm from a huge family with 4 older brothers who were constantly getting into something. So I learned young to tune out chaos that had nothing to do with me. Also, real talk, people in the ghetto are taught to do that because no one has time to pay attention to every single thing going on around them. And I only notice people wanting to do that who grew up in safer neighborhoods. No problem, live your best life. But I want nothing to do with most situations, especially chaotic ones, because it benefits me in no way to get involved. And, if anything, can drag me into a bad situation instead. So I stay the F out of stuff. Third and so far last incident. You guessed it, same setup as always at the conveyor self-checkout. This woman was so nice, but good gracious, I'm dense. And she missed so many opportunities to realize her mistake. So this was a perfect storm of laugh out loud all around. We're stuck with an error or input needed again with no employee in sight. So I'm on my phone while standing at the bagging part as usual, doing, you guessed it, work emails again. I have a problem, I know, but getting chastised enough for missing one godforsaken important tidbit buried in an email once, and it's easy to become way too attentive as an overcorrection. Anyway, this nice lady walks up to me and gives no context, but says she needs help. She looks about my age, maybe only a little older, but I was frequently mistaken as being younger than I am, so that probably isn't helping me in these situations. I actually don't mind helping people anywhere if they come up asking for help. And since I'm stuck waiting anyway, I say sure and ask her what she needs. I honestly forget what her problem was all these months later, but I remember it was something where she too needed an employee. So I told her to stand at the station where the employees usually are stationed and wait for someone. I say this with a smile, thinking nothing of it, and go back to work on my phone. I don't remember the exact way she asked for help again, but I remember I was typing a response to a coworker boss and she interrupted me twice. So I was at first accommodating, but the second time asked her to let me fire off a work email first, and then she could ask her question. This time she tries to lead me somewhere, and I vaguely register my husband saying my name to get my attention as I start going with her. In hindsight, yeah, I was clearly mentally checked out to start following her. I stop, a little alarmed that my frazzled, overworked brain was snapped to attention so aggressively, and my husband tells me gently that she thinks I work there. He turns to say something to the lady, but I laugh and say, she doesn't think I work here, she just needs help, I'll be right back. I turn back to her with a smile and gesture to go ahead. Whatever she says ends us back up at the employee station where I tell her she needs to wait for an employee. I remember her mentioning something about how it takes so long for someone to come. And I gently replied that I'm sure they're understaffed like a lot of places are, so we just have to be patient and we'll all get through it, etc. She then asks sweetly why I couldn't help her, and I genuinely still don't click that she thinks I work there. So laugh and say I probably could figure out their MS-DOS system if I tried. But that's it because I still think we're just being conversational. Husband's still hanging out with all our stuff at our register. So since I can see we're not leaving anytime soon, I hang out with the lady a bit and make what I assume is small talk while she's actually trying to genuinely figure out why I can't just do whatever thing she needs done. Because she's so nice about it, I think some of her questions are a little weird, but just keep being a total dunce by thinking we're just chatting as two people passing the time in the same situation. Oh, what department do you work for? Oh, I do job description, which is really cool because eventually an employee comes and keys in whatever we needed at the register where husband has been patiently waiting. And I tell lady it was nice chatting or whatever and go to leave. It's at this point she asks, a little panicked, where I'm going. And I'm genuinely confused as I tell her I'm going home. Her mouth is a little agape as she says, home? Then who's going to help me? I tell her an employee will, and that I'm done shopping, so that's why I'm going home. She keeps gasping as husband hands me my purse and jacket, and I think she finally realizes, maybe, who in the world knows, and wanders off as I turn around and leave. Husband gently again tells me she thought I worked there as we're leaving, and I again laugh and go, no, I don't have to work somewhere to help people. I realize typing this out that I must be an exhausting wife to keep up with sometimes, but he's very patient with my overworked brain. I also realized typing all this out for the first time that I stopped checking work emails over the weekend, what I was doing in these stories, but I was just answering work stuff at a friend's get-together last night at 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and husband told me I've got to stop working after hours then too, and I responded in a huff saying, I wish I could, but boss this and that, I have a real problem. I finally realize, time for hard stops. My brain is always so dead these days. OP number 1, your work doesn't own you when you're not on the clock. Get out of those emails and spend your time away from work, actually away from work. It's going to help your health, trust me. Number 2, myself, I have a lot of social anxiety, so I don't get out to stores very often. But the self-checkout has been a godsend for me because I don't have to interact with somebody. But I also know going through there that I'm likely going to have to do everything myself. Now, if I wanted somebody to bag my things, I think I'd go through where there was an actual cashier because, that's what they're paid to do. On a final note, going back to the first point though, I think OP would have a lot more situational awareness if they'd keep their nose out of their phone working on work emails while they're out doing something completely different. Check out both OPs, linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.